I'm Linda van Tilburg for BizNews. There's a non-profit organisation called the Cape Kids Foundation in the Western Cape who takes teens from the age of 14 and provide learning support to them. And we have the director of the foundation, Vicky Bauer, in the BizNews studio with us to talk about it. Hi, Victoria. How are you?
I'm good, thank you, Linda. Thanks for having me.
So tell us about the Cape Kids Foundation, what its aim is, how it started.
So we started in 2017, knowing that we wanted to make a difference in the Muizenberg area of Cape Town. And because none of us, myself and my two directors, Dave and Carol Froneman, we didn't have any prior knowledge to get involved with supporting the surrounding suburbs, we used Dave and Carol's contacts in Lavender Hill, Capricorn, Vrygrond, Khayelitsha and Younger, where they had been working on a pastoral level because of the church they were assigned to. They were supporting people within the communities. And we started working with grassroots level NGOs and families that wanted to make their environment a better place. So we approached these families and these NGOs and asked them whether we could support them financially so that they could do their magic within their suburbs and in the townships. So we started off pretty much working with other organizations that wanted to make a difference. And through working with them, they started coming to us about young adults that were curious and determined, and despite their situation that they were in, they wanted their life trajectory to change. And they wanted to improve who they were. So it kind of behooved us to get involved with these young people directly. And that's what we started doing. We decided that these young adults were wanting more than the education system could provide them at their township schools or the Model C schools. So in our desire to do the right thing, we took them out of the environment that they were in, and we placed them into private schools, working very closely with the head of the school, with the dorm parents, with the sports coaches. And we ensured that they had the uniforms and the technology, and they had lifts to and from school. And we also provided sponsorship for older children to go to tertiary environments, to go to colleges like UCT, Fidisa, City Varsity. And what had happened at the same time was some of the tertiary students lived in-house with us in Muizenberg. We set up a home. We were fortunate enough to be able to buy a house, and we had a dorm parent, and we had a few students who lived with us. There was study hall in the evening, and we ensured that they got to and from their colleges safely every day. And so what we saw was that the high school students and the tertiary students that were living in a residential environment near their colleges weren't thriving as much as the students that were living in-house, that were living with dorm parents, that were being surrounded by kind of functional relationships and interested adults. So that we kind of started observing that. And at the same time, COVID-19 started. So through observing how the power of family and unconditional acceptance was creating a space for some of our students to be able to learn. At the same time, COVID-19 presented itself, and we were kind of thrust into the townships and to work and to support the families of the students that we had been sponsoring at high schools and in tertiary programs, because a lot of them had lost their jobs. A lot of them were not able to feed the families. A lot of them are matriarchs, like great aunts or grannies, who all of a sudden had 5 or 6 young ones in the home that weren't going to school, weren't getting fed at school, and a lot of them had lost their jobs. So it gave us an opportunity to go into the townships and to see firsthand through Carol and Dave and our mentors at the time. We had hired 2 mentors, Matt and Rachel, to see firsthand how the families and the single parents were coping, and how chaotic and traumatic for no fault of anybody's, how traumatic these environments were. And so we had a bit of an aha moment. The three of us were having a Zoom call, as we do every Thursday. And we were terrified to admit, but life had brought us to a point where we needed to make the decision whether we were going to bring education and trauma therapy in-house, because seeing how the best we could to support these students that were determined and curious in outside institutions and them going back to their homes, it wasn't doing them the service that we wanted to provide. And so in 2020, in the middle of 2020, when everybody was kind of supposed to be at home because of COVID, we opened essentially our doors and we took in what is now known as Alex School. And so pretty much in the middle of 2020, Cape Kids as we know it now was created. And that is taking on a child at the age of 14. There is a rigorous assessment program that they go through. And sorry, a little bit of a side note is these children come to us. It's not the parents that bring the children to us. We hear about these children within their townships and the suburbs around Muizenberg. So they're already self-selective. They've already selected themselves for the program. We don't have a mom or an auntie or a dad who's wanting their child to go through our program. They go through a rigorous assessment program, and then they are with us for 4 years of their high school. And that is a trauma-sensitive high school environment that we have in Muizenberg. They live with us from Sunday to Friday. They have breakfast, lunch, and dinner with us. There we have trauma-educated dorm parents. We have mentors. We have after-school clubs. They do swimming. They go mountain biking, mountaineering. And very importantly, they are all assigned a mental health practitioner. And that is something that we strongly encourage them to do, is to have emotional healing. Because most of us have some trauma in our lives, but these children, for again, no fault of their parents or their families, it's just the environment that has been created in South Africa. These children and young adults have experienced what I would consider devastating trauma. And so I think taking a step back, seeing how the students were thriving in a home environment, and seeing how the families are doing their very best, but not able to provide as much as any child deserves, we decided that we were going to create an immersive, trauma-sensitive learning program. And it starts again with Alex School, and then we provide, we sponsor tertiary education. And again, we strongly encourage our tertiary students to live on campus as well. We have several buildings in the Muizenberg area. One of them is the tertiary. There's a dorm parent. It's all secure with alarms and all the good stuff so they can feel safe. And they live there, and we ensure that they get to their tertiary education. Sure. And then we have a post-grad program, which is their final year with us, where we really focus on making them socially, emotionally, and financially independent. So it's kind of an 8 to 10 year program, but we've chosen to go few and deep because we believe in changing the trajectory of a family, and it starts with taking time and healing individuals on a very deep level. So that's
so it's called Alex School. And do you have a couple of buildings in Muizenberg? Is that how I understand it?
So we have Cape Kids as the foundation. Yeah. And underneath Cape Kids, we have Alex School, which is run by our educational principal, Bronwyn. We have 3 teachers, and we can take a maximum of 12 students. So that's Alex School. And then next door to Alex School, we have the dorm environment for these students. And that's called Sea Cottage, just because it's kind of the view is of the sea, and it's right on the front of Muizenberg. So they live with us at Sea Cottage. And then around the corner, we have the tertiary environment, which is called Alex Village. And that's 6 apartments where our tertiary students have more independent living. But again, it's compulsory. They come to our workshops. They have to see a mental health practitioner. They've got to learn how to drive. We do financial workshops. We have race within South Africa workshops. We have nutrition workshops. We have sexual health and diversity workshops, which they have to attend. But they live kind of more independent than our high school students. We also do have students that we sponsor at private schools. And the only reason they don't live with us is because they are thriving, and their family environments are a little bit more supportive. So they live at the private schools.
Sure. Can you share some of the success stories? Because it sounds like an amazing program.
Thank you. So the success stories, the data on the students that have graduated, because we started in 2017 and we started Alex School in 2020, we've only now starting to have students that have actually graduated tertiary. So we have 4 students that have graduated, and they literally graduated last year. So the data and kind of the success story of where they have ended up within their communities, I don't have any data. But I can say that all 4 of them were successful in completing the studies of their choice. It was film, it was journalism, and we had, there's another lady who did, filming and production. So we have those 4 students. 3 of them have got work. 2 of them are working within the industries that they study. But that's all I have right now about students that have graduated. But success stories within Cape Kids, a lot. It's so many. I give you, for instance, we had a student who joined Alex School, wasn't thriving, and through his courage, he shared with us that he had an addiction, a substance use, and we could understand that because of the deep trauma that he had experienced through his life. And he was brave enough to say, I want to go on a rehabilitation program, which he has been on incredibly successfully. And to the point where he was so successful that they have invited him back to be a leader within the rehabilitation program. So he's there for another 9 months, being a leader there whilst he completes another year of his high school program. So that is somebody who, if we hadn't intervened and if he hadn't have been honest with us, would have been a member of a gang within one of the local townships. And he was brave enough to know that he had to turn his back on those choices and never go back. So the sacrifice on his part was huge. And nobody made him do it. All our children are here because they want to be here. It's their choice. Because of their age, nobody can make them come here. They choose to be here every day and to do the hard work with emotional healing, and to do the hard work about going through matric and doing tertiary studies and being part of a family. So, and I have a lot of success stories. It just depends on how much time you have. But if we could meet again in a few years, I'd love to share the success of the children and the students that have graduated out of the program. We haven't got there yet. The data is still
apart from what's measurable, you can see the joy of them and how much they enjoy it, and the fact that they want to be there.
Exactly, yeah.
They're keen to be there. They're really keen to join.
There are some of them do find it overwhelming, because it is so different to what they're used to, and there is no avoidance when you join Cape Kids. We talk the truth. We tell them the work that they need to do, because they have been assessed by an educational psychologist. They have spent time with our mental health practitioners. So we have a very good understanding of what the challenges are that they need to face head on, so that they can be high functioning, compassionate, responsible members of a community. And it is overwhelming, but there's no opportunity to avoid. There is an opportunity to be gentle, but there's no avoidance. So some of them are scared, and it does take time for us to share with them the joy that they will feel at the end of it. But yes, they still come. They have the grit, they have the determination. So hats off to them.
So is the Cape Kids Foundation, is that linked to the project on Glen Cane Ridge to clear alien vegetation that your husband, Vicky Bauer, is involved in?
So yes. So besides what Cape Kids is doing now, we have 3 programs that we're wanting to develop, and one of them is an outdoor environmental education program. So we are fortunate enough, because of the mountain. We've registered as Franneberg, and it's kind of the next peak over from Elsie's Peak in Glencairn. Because we have that at our disposal, we have access to it. At some stage within the next year, we're going to be designing an environmental education program. But right now, we are working privately to get it to a place where it is safe for the neighbourhood. So we're kind of getting rid of all the exotic vegetation, and we have to do all the burning, manage all the burning of all the dead wood. And then we're going to introduce specialists who can look at indigenous pollinators, and we're going to get in some of the fynbos. And at that stage, we're wanting to kind of get our 24 to 25 students involved and learn about what it takes to care for our environment. So yes, there is a link. We're very fortunate. It's unconditionally lent to Cape Kids to be able to use that space. So yes.
So what are your future plans? Would you like to grow this? You talk about 12 kids a year at the moment. Would you like to expand this?
So we have 12 kids coming every 4 years, because they do the high school program for 4 years, and then when they graduate on to be our tertiary students, we then have another intake of 12 students. So yes, it's very niche. We only have 24 students at a time, and what we have realized is we have the siblings of the students that we have within Cape Kids, and so we have about another 40 potential students that we want to bring into Cape Kids. We did start at the beginning of last year designing a learning club, where we take the siblings of our students and we invite them to an if I said an after-school club, you would understand what I mean, but we're specifically calling it a learning club because it is going to be about the power of reading and the power of math. And so it's not going to be about doing their homework, what they're getting at their township or their Model C schools. It's going to be the fundamental, the building blocks of reading and maths. And we have a full-time social worker that's going to be joining us in July, which we're incredibly excited about. So we'll have 2 full-time social workers. And this social worker will be assigned to the learning club. So when the students come in, we're looking at from 6 years to 14 years of age. They will come, there's going to be nutrition, and we're going to be doing remedial and fundamental learning. And then we're going to have a social and an emotional well-being component to that as well. So it's going to kind of run parallel with Alex School. So we're going to have the learning club. We're going to have the environmental education program. And then now that we have graduates, we're going to need to look at an alumni program.
So how does your link to Muizenberg? Why specifically there?
So Muizenberg is pretty much a sweet spot when it comes to being able to have access to Capricorn, Vrygrond, Lavender Hill, and then kind of Khayelitsha, Mitchell's Plain. And it's easily accessible through trains. And there's a lot of like-minded people that we have access to. So our network and our support structure in Muizenberg is incredible.
And I mean, you've lived overseas, and why this commitment to this Western Cape project still?
So Western Cape, because that's where we have lived for many, many years of our life. I mean, we left South Africa 21 years ago, but when it comes to South Africa, when it comes to what nationality we are 100% South African. Go Bokke. We are South African. Our blood is green and gold. But Cape Town, because we know the people, we have a good read of the culture in Cape Town. And I think to bring up our own children and always being interested in emotional well-being, to me, the power of family and the power of having functional role models is so important to allow a human being to dream their dreams and to be able to be who they want to be. And so we kind of knitted that all together, and we've seen it firsthand. These students don't have dreams because they're surviving. And it's no fault of their parents or their family environment, as I said before. But as soon as we can put them in a place where they feel safe, and the power of a family, because we really do ask ourselves the question, if these were my children, what would I do? If these students were my children or our children, how would we treat them? And so our entire village at Cape Kids is kind of, we think about trauma awareness and if they were our children. And so it's very functional. So it's kind of, it's a mixed match of everything. And we just got the right people working with us. I take my hat off to the 23 staff members we have. We all want the best for the next generation. And that's how we kind of came to create Cape Kids.
Oh, thank you so much, Vicky Bauer, from the director of the Cape Kids Foundation.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Linda. Thank you for your time.